I really like an extended amount of time for sexual activity. Something about the act of sex for me also connects on a spiritual level. I feel super empowered in those times. So I kind of like want to live in that space for as long as I can.
God, do you feel about talking about your sexuality on camera?
God, do you feel like talking about your sexuality? Yeah, I feel good about it. I like that you kept that, by the way.
What?
The God. Conversations that I have about my sexuality with women versus men is so different. I think naturally because we have, a lot of the same parts and similar desires, I'm going to get more of the conversations with women. And then take that and learn how to either ask or explain or demand in a better way with men what I want.
When did you discover your pleasure?
I think it very clearly was probably when I was 15. So I don't know if that makes me a late bloomer or not. I go to the library all the time, and then somehow I got my hands on a book of erotica. And I wouldn't take the erotica books out, but I would read them while I was there and then take out another library book. My sexuality was literally being awakened, but I think I was so overwhelmed by it. It's funny because I would read all these erotica books, but it never occurred to me that I should read a book that would show me or tell me how I could actually achieve orgasm.
Did your parents talk to you about sex?
No. I learned about sex at my school. Sex education at my school was, let's separate the boys and girls. Let's talk to the girls about how to put in a tampon. Nothing about consent. It was basically you have this body part, they have this body part. Sperm goes inside and fertilizes the egg. I was in 6th grade when that happened. Yeah, and so there's already kids who are having sex and they're not getting anything out of the sex education.
Do you identify any way specifically sexual?
I don't know. I think I probably am privileged extremely in the fact that I don't have to spend too much time thinking about that. I guess I don't like saying I'm 100% hetero. And I feel like saying queer is almost the new norm in some ways, just because what you're saying is that you have fluidity to your sexuality, and that's something that I can comfortably embrace. And I think also there's sexual experiences that I want to have that I haven't had yet, and until I have them, I won't really, be able to fully know. So I'm just all right, I'm gonna keep, I'm just gonna keep an open mind about that.
What initially attracts you to someone?
Intellect. I'm trying to get to the root of that because I don't think it's a great thing to always be attracted to. It's not any sort of marker for where's your spirituality at? How connected are you with yourself in ways that don't really come from the intellect, but maybe come from a more soulful place.
What myths or beliefs about sex or sexuality have you dispelled?
That I don't have to look a certain way for a guy to like me. That's probably one of the first ones. When I was a certain age, a lot of the younger teens or whatever, male teens, they're looking at porn and they're growing their own sexual expectations that are totally unrealistic. And I'm oh gosh, I guess when I get older I have to have fake tits and I should probably dye my hair blonde and shave my vagina all the time. Also, the other thing that I had to do was when I started exploring situations where I thought I was not being embraced for who I was, because maybe my boobs were too small or I was too curvy or I was too thick at the bottom. It's well, it's just as screwed up that I maybe am making a decision to not have sex with someone that I actually like. and feel attracted to because I'm thinking that their penis is too small. Like, did you even try it? Did you even explore it? Do not underrate the guys that, you know, are in like 8 or under. Or like, you know, just give it a shot. And I think what I learned was that there's so many different ways to have sex. That's where like education of your own body, especially for women, is so important because women can orgasm so many different ways. It's fucking awesome. But like you have to learn how to get there. I have girlfriends sometimes who I get frustrated with because they're so intent on like being size queens or whatever. And I'm like, but I think you're missing out on other stuff. Oh, I think that other thing was when I started exploring having several committed partners and being able to tell like a man that I want to be intimate with that I'm also going to be having sex with other men. That debunked the myth that I had about men all coming with like this certain amount of promiscuity. I always was like, men just want to have sex with a bunch of other women, that's their thing. And now where I feel like I can have sex with multiple people and that's cool, but oh wait, these guys don't like that, just kidding. So that was kind of hard to learn how to have those conversations and deal with rejection in that sense, because it was like, yeah, I'm actually not up for this. And it's like, okay, I gotta find someone else who will. Female ejaculation was probably the other one. I got like wands, I got like G-spot vibrators, I got lube, and it was like homework where I was like, I'm fucking doing this for myself. What is making my body do this? Why is it so hard to get information about it? Why is no one talking about this? Because it was like alongside this whole idea that women are told, if you feel like you have to pee, you make sure you like hold that feeling back. There doesn't always have to be fluids. Like, you don't always have to ejaculate. Men ejaculate all the time. No one's telling them not to do it. And that's literally our body's physical equivalent. Part of the learning was like, okay, let me get rid of this conditioning. I have that feeling, and fuck, I really hope I don't pee on myself. But, like, that never happened. Like, never happened. That's not how that works. Safe sex means that there's an understanding of my boundaries. I think for me it require, like I said, a certain amount of intimacy. So I want to like literally just feel safe because I know the person to a certain extent. As long as you have an understanding with the other person that it's like consensual and you've talked about what you want or don't want, then I guess that's what safe sex means to me. I also only use like a certain type of condoms. I usually like bring my condoms with me because most guys will have whatever it is that they got. And so I'm like, no, actually we're using these. These are safe for the vagina. And I like usually don't have sex during my fertility window since I'm not on birth control. I do a fertility tracker and that's what I've been using. And part of that is my choice because in my family we have some history on the female sides of just like influx of hormones, hormonal balance, and that having effect on health in certain kind of ways, like cancers or mental challenges. I'm more into power plays than anything else. I basically mean like this exchange of power or dominance, like in whatever sexual experience you're having. And I think for a long time, I really wanted to feel like I was dominant. And that was sort of also came tied with this whole thing of like, because it also makes me feel safe. And that kind of came out of like some negative experience that I had sexually in the past. And so it was like this reflex of like, okay, well, if I bring like a certain amount of dominance, then I don't think that situation will happen again. Edging is basically the act of bringing someone close to orgasm and then taking a step back. It just makes it that much more intense because there's so much buildup with like blood flow and stimulation and just like muscles tightening and you're just like working out to this huge fucking thing. And when you have it, you're like, yes! And I love that. And I also love being able to do that for other people.
If you could sit down with you who hasn't had sex yet.
Oh, God.
And give her some advice.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think just like not succumbing to pressures. Think back on the guys that were in their teens. And if you correlate that to like maybe the amount of pressure you put on yourself to live up to their expectations, it's like, holy shit, that's crazy. Don't do that. That's not a healthy place to be in.
What is the purpose of sex to you?
Is pleasure. Yeah, I feel like sex is something that my body can do that is so naturally pleasurable without any sort of negative side effects. For someone who dealt with suicidal depression for so many years, I think it was amazing to me that there was this thing that we could do that would, I don't want to say like make people happy, but make people feel joy or pleasured in a sense. And like that was fucking great. It's not like taking drugs. There's no like negative effect or come down. So I feel the need to explore that as much as possible. And I feel the need to know how to do that for myself as much as with other people. Women's pleasure is an important conversation to be having because I think it's pretty revolutionary when a woman decides to like claim her space. And so I feel like women really like putting a stake in like, well, boom, I'm spending this much time and investing this much effort in my own self-pleasure because that's what I deserve is so important to their well-being. I know it's important to my well-being. And it also helps facilitate other conversations or ideas of like, well, you deserve that. You also deserve to take up this space or take these claims elsewhere. But you can always start. I feel like that's a good place to start.